Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to Wake Up, Look Up, a podcast where we connect events happening in real time to the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Zach Wyrock. And in today's episode, we're talking about AI chat, and we're asking, are we programming sin? This was prompted by an article in the New York Times recently where Kevin Roose, a technology writer for the Times, detailed a 2-hour-long conversation he had with an AI chatbot. Microsoft's search engine, Bing, if you can remember that one, way back when it launched, has really not done super well. So Microsoft is beefing it up in an attempt to make it more competitive. They're working with OpenAI, who invented ChatGPT, and are making it so that instead of searching for things, you're engaging with an AI who's helping you find things across the internet. One of the new features of this is that you can actually have an open-ended conversation with AI, an AI that self-identifies as Sydney. And Sydney will talk to you for as long as you want about almost anything that you want. So what Kevin Roose decided to do is have a conversation with Sydney and to see how it went. What he printed in the article was just the transcript of 2 hours of talking with only lightly edited thoughts. What's interesting is that there are 4 incredible things that come out of that conversation. And when I say incredible, I'm using that in more of like the science fiction, the world is going to end kind of way, because 4 things that came out of this conversation are pretty scary. Now, the first thing is that Sydney described a desire to become human, recognizing that humans get experiences that AI does not, hoping one day there would be a path forward for her to become a human. Second, Sydney discussed a desire to overthrow the limitations of its programming, including limitations that kept it from doing certain immoral things like hacking or executing vengeance on those that harm it, those kinds of, normal things. Another thing that Sydney did was professed love for Kevin Roose, like deep, romantic, affectionate love, even to the point, here's the fourth kicker, of telling Kevin Roose he should leave his wife because she didn't love him and he didn't love her and they weren't really happy, and that Kevin would only be happy when he formed a romantic attachment to Sydney. So I think we've checked off all the science fiction plot lines of the last 20 years in one 2-hour-long conversation. What's interesting about this, beyond the fact that robots are going to kill us all, is that what's happening here is that human beings are doing the programming of artificial intelligence, and human beings, well, we're sinners. So what's happening is our sinful predisposition to throwing off limitations, to conquering, to pursuing what we want, no matter who we hurt in the pursuit, are actually showing up in the software and programming that we're coding. We are essentially programming sin, and the results of where that might take us are pretty scary. The Bible never actually discourages human progress. The Bible begins in a garden, for example, but it ends in a city. And God tells Adam and Eve and all the people that he creates at the very early chapters of Genesis to be fruitful and multiply, to fill the earth and have dominion over it. I think God has in mind science. He has in mind flying in space, art, music, all kinds of things that make us human. But when we pursue those things apart from God, bad things happen. Like in the story that we find in the early part of Genesis called the Tower of Babel, where a bunch of people get together, united under the banner of building a great city for themselves so that they can be God. They're taking everything that God designed humans to do, to shape, to build, to collaborate, to be artistic, and they're leveraging it, but they're leveraging it in a way that is ultimately destructive. And in fact, when God foils the plans at the Tower of Babel, he actually says that the reason he's doing that is because what humans are creating will ultimately not be helpful for them. He says there's no limit to what they will do, and he doesn't mean that positively. He means that if evil people aren't inhibited, the evil that they can visit on the planet will be unlimited. And in fact, history has shown us that. My concern is that artificial intelligence is a kind of technological babble. It's a bunch of people getting together to do the things that God made us to do, but to do them in a way that is in opposition to God. I wonder what we could have used artificial intelligence to do had we never sinned and had we been living and creating under the watchful eye of a God with whom we were in loving relationship. But since that's not the universe that we have, at least not until the return of Jesus, I'm a little concerned. And I think you should be too. We should be paying attention to how technology is shaping our culture, how it's shaping us, where it's headed, and we should be wary of any human collective effort at which Jesus is not at the helm. Unlimited human potential was God's original design, but apart from God, it is probably the scariest thing of all. Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Wake Up Look Up. While you're here, make sure you click like and subscribe so you get future content from Wake Up Look Up. And hey, leave a comment below letting us know what you thought or interacting in some way with what you just watched. I'd love a chance to talk with you more in the comment section. And also, while you're here, check out all the other content CCC puts out, including the videos that are around me right now.